Today's show is sponsored by Adventures Unlimited Press. Take your mind on a literary journey and go to adventuresunlimitedpress.com to purchase books from our famed experts right here on Truth Be Told. That's adventuresunlimitedpress.com.
What's your thoughts on government cover-ups or covert societies attempting to control humanity? Do you believe in ancient astronauts, intergalactic communication, or extraterrestrial visitations? Ever had an experience with disembodied spirits or the paranormal universe? Are these subjects fact or fiction? Each week, Tony and Eddie explore these unbelievable realities and beyond. Exclusively on Truth Be Told.
Hello and welcome to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I'm Tony Sweet, and I'm here with world-renowned psychic Eddie Connor.
Thanks, Mr. Sweet. How was your vacation away?
It was great.
Good. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, you're in for a treat today, ladies and gentlemen, because our next guest is famous for bringing pure positive energy into every area of her clients' lives.
Helen Duncan began her journey many years ago with Native American friends. The elders taught her the art of smudging. Through her journey, Helen studied with Eastern elders and learned other techniques, including the use of different incense, crystals, and the singing bowl ceremony.
Helen facilitates the lost art of spirit cleansing, chakra alignments, and readings. Now, throughout the year, she has also studied from New Age and Christian philosophies, and she believes spiritually minded people, both property and business owners alike, can and they should enjoy freedom from negative forces embedded in their environment. Helen says, and I quote, "It is my mission to free those around me from negative influences that are holding them captive so that they may live and work in an environment that promotes growth, harmony, love, and expansion." She says, "I clean out the old and I bring in the new." Please welcome the owner and creator of SpiritClean.biz, Helen Duncan. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I'm Eddie Connor.
I'm Tony Sweet.
And we have in the house, we have Helen Duncan, who is an empath, intuitive, spiritual cleanser. I'm going to say that again because I love the way it feels, and it's got a fluidity to it. She is an empath, intuitive, spiritual cleanser. And you can tell it because you can feel with your energy that it's got that fluidity to it. And so I just have to brag about you for a second. We literally had a guest that couldn't make it. And then we left an email for you yesterday and a phone call, and Helen got back to us that quick, was right on board immediately. This is your first radio interview, and you were just like, you just knew it was a match, and she did everything. She moved heaven and earth to make it work for us.
And we thank you for that.
We appreciate it. And that's why you feel like the empath, intuitive, spiritual cleanser. So now, how did this start for you? How did you become in love with uplifting people's spaces energetically?
Well, the journey started a long time ago, and it was more of a personal journey. Mm-hmm. I worked with the Indians. I worked on reservations. I started learning from Native Americans, the elders and the shaman. I did a lot of sweat lodges and pipe ceremonies, and I still do a pipe prayer ceremony daily for myself. And through that, I just became interested in, and there was more and more to learn. And when I got into the Eastern philosophies, I saw what they were using to cleanse negative energy, because what came about was that what I saw around me was the negativity, I could feel it.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel it in places, and I didn't know what to do with it, and they showed me ways and means to cleanse it, to get rid of it, and to bring something different into that same space. It's nice to have an empty space, but it's more important to put something positive in there instead. And so I worked and learned from them for many, many years before I tried my hand at this any other way.
And a lot of people think just because, let's say you're moving into a new space, let's say you don't have one piece of furniture in it at all yet, just because that space, that physical space is empty, null and void of any physicality doesn't mean that there's not energy in that space already. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. When you move into a space, someone was in that space before you.
Yeah. Maybe living, maybe dead. You never know, right?
You never do know.
And so one of the things you say is you enjoy helping people. You create a freedom from negative spaces. So how is it that you will take a space? First of all, let's ask, how did you feel when you walked into the station?
I felt very free and very comfortable when I walked into the station.
Oh.
When I walked into this room, I felt a little bit more uptight, but that's probably just me.
Girl, she is psychic. It's been a kind of hairy day.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff on top of stuff. So you're totally just picking that up. And so what are some of the techniques you use to come into a space that might have some negative influence in it? So I'll ask you first, describe what negativity feels like in a space when you go into it.
Okay. It feels dark and it feels cold.
Okay.
And negativity tends to go into the corners, up and into the corners. And it permeates there and it gravitates there and then it moves down. So there'll be a heaviness in the spirit. And there'll also be a darkness. You can see dark shadows if you look around the spaces.
Yeah. And it just sort of stays there. You know what they're showing me in my mind is when you go to a cave and it's got the catacombs and you can see them things, they just start like coming down like that. And then they'll drip, mold, and that sort of thing. That's the image I get when you speak about that. So let's say you go into a space and you feel that energy. And you probably are highly visual as an empath too.
I am, but I'm also very sensitive and that's why I'm an empath and a sensitive is that I feel what's going on as I move through the environment.
Love it.
And that's good and bad, but it's good for my clients. It is.
It is good for your clients, but it can be a pain in the butt when you're just out trying to buy groceries.
If you don't know, because I am an empath, and if you don't know what that is, that can be the bad thing because you don't know what's going on. You're like, why am I feeling like crap every time or I'm this person or that? You never know what's bringing you down.
Yeah,
I did that for years.
Yeah,
I
took
did
me a
that,
while.
yeah, because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
It can make you feel a little nutty. That's too dramatic, but there's a lot of truth to that. It can make you feel nutty. Suddenly you're feeling good and you're bipping along, and then you just hit a pocket of people that you literally feel like you're being drugged behind a rhinoceros.
Exactly.
And you're lucky because the rhinoceros could turn back around and run over your ass. You know what I'm saying? So when you walk into a room and let's say you feel these things, what are some of the tools you use to get that negative energy out?
Well, first I walk the whole space because usually they're large spaces, large homes, large industries and businesses. And I walk through them and I get a feel for the rooms and the corners and the corridors of them. And then I start the process with salt. Salt is a cleanser. Yes, it is. It's a natural cleanser.
Any type of salt, or is there specific?
I use black and white salt. Black salt tends to dissipate negative energy faster. It's messy, and I tell my clients when I leave, it's going to be messy, but, that's just the way it is.
I'd rather have a
but
little
it's going to be good.
That's what I'm saying.
It's going to be good, but it's going to be messy. And I go through the entire house with that salt. And I pray through, and I use the salt in different areas, all through the corners. And then I come back to where I've set up all of my different things that I use. And then the next step I go through is the Indian ceremony where I use sage and sweetgrass and cedar. And people think you can smudge. You just pick a stick of sage and you run around smudging everything. And each element has a different aspect to it and cleanses a different way. And so you need all of that to do a complete cleansing. And so I go through the whole house with that process. And then I use a wand, which I can't tell you, I've had this wand for like 20 years and it's been refeathered 3 times for me because I will not use another one. It has my energy in it.
100%.
So.
You could tell it you can feel it from here.
What's a deer?
Yes,
What a deer?
that's mine.
Deer horn and is that deer horn?
Yes.
And what kind of
And-
feathers?
And, well,
We'll let you hold it up so the camera can see it. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
That
It
is
is.
beautiful.
and anything I use is from antlers or horns that have been shed. Nothing that's taken off animals.
And so, what's the significance for the, let's say, the antlers? What's the healing faculties for antlers? Do we know that?
No, what this is it's a medium to move
The
the
energy.
product, to move the sage, to move the sweetgrass,
That's
to move the
beautiful.
cedar around. Because I go through the whole house doing that. What we call smudging, what people just normally call smudging.
Yeah.
And I usually take something with me to hold the little embers. And after I'm done with that process, sometimes I'll feel different things. I'll feel negative energy in some rooms. I'll feel violence in some rooms. I'll see pieces of furniture that shouldn't be there.
Oh, girl.
Yeah.
They some
different
haunted furniture sometimes.
Different things like that. And I wait to the end to tell the client all this information.
So smart.
You know? And after that, I go through and I bless it, because actually a Christian church started me doing this. They asked me, it was a very like rock and roll, unorthodox Christian church, asked me to go in because I was a healer at the church and cleanse this house that had been just had this spirit that was dark. And so I went in with some people, and that's how it all started. So I used holy oil. And I use it through any entrance and any exit.
Yeah.
And I pray through it, that everything who enters is blessed, and everything who does not wish you peace and prosperity and joy and happiness be gone and not be allowed to come in. And so that it takes an hour or two. It's not just a little process.
Right.
And I use water. And then I have a spray. There's an African princess that I know, and she is a lovely woman. And she makes a spray. Well, she actually makes it in different forms, but for me, she makes a spray. And it seals in after I do the work and after I bless through it and I pray through it and I pray the blessings. Then I also make 2 candles for my clients. They tell me what their needs are beforehand. And I dress the candles with crystals, with incense, and with oils. Wow. And I dress them a week in advance. The color of the candle, everything about that candle matters. So I do that a week in advance, and I bring them to them. And then after everything is done, I seal everything in with this balm that she has come up with that just has worked for me through the years. So I keep using it, and she keeps giving it to me.
Wow. So I'm one of the things I'm hearing as you're speaking is intention. Intention is everything, because intention arrives to your destination before your physical body ever gets there.
Absolutely.
And then I'm hearing prayer. You're
Lots
moving
of it.
through and you're praying, and that's another form of intention. Is that right? And then I'm hearing you say seal it. What is sealing for virgins to cleansing? What would be, how would you define sealing it?
Sealing is I go through the house with this solution that she's made. I pray, sealing in all the work that I've done and sealing out all the work that was done before I got there, including anything that I have found that I'm going to ask these clients to get rid of. Now, whether they do or not is their business.
Right.
But that's what they pay me for, and so I give them the information I have. I don't do feng shui, but there are some aspects of it that I utilize throughout my ceremony.
Wow, that is so fascinating. What were you
Well,
going to say?
I have a question. I'm gonna go back a little bit, because something that popped into my head 20 years ago when I was seeking. I was grew up in Kansas. I was a Christian. I am a Christian still, but I was a Christian that I just knew there was more. I knew there was more, and I started going to like the Buddhist temple in Wichita, Kansas, and just certain different elements of religion. But I was seeking answers that the Christianity couldn't answer to me. When you went to the Native Americans, what were you seeking within yourself that you think drew you to the Native American culture?
I was grown up in Catholic school. I knew there was more.
Yeah.
And when I met Native Americans, and I lived in Arizona for a few years, they had a peace about them, and they had a peace with the world around them. They were at one with the world. They didn't use or abuse it, and it didn't seem to use or abuse them, and I wanted that.
Right.
And I'm a seeker also,
Yeah.
so I went to the Eastern philosophies and self-realization fellowship, and I've studied all over the world. You know, I've studied with elders to get these different aspects of this. But the singing bowl ceremony is from Asia, and it's you know, and I forgot to bring it up, and it's very important. That sound that permeates when you sing your bowl in each room tells me when the vibrations of the room are heavier and when they lighten.
And you can hear it and feel it.
Definitely, I can feel it. I can feel it all. I do protect myself before I go in. I wear a medicine bag around me, and I pray protection over me. And I pray when I go out.
So let's go back to the Native Americans for just a second.
that's
I'm
what I was
like you.
gonna ask.
I'm fascinated by it, and I believe in past lives. I know people think I'm woo-woo, but I don't care. I know in my heart of hearts, I know what I know that I know, and I know I've had many lifetimes as Native American. And I would think for an empath, as sensitive as you are energetically, that almost the moment you stepped onto the reservation and or in that group, you could feel the oneness and the harmony, which would probably, you could just let your hair down and sink a little bit without, I would think it was almost another planet for you at first.
Absolutely, and it was an honor because I
Yeah.
had friends that lived on the reservation. I probably shouldn't have gone on the reservation, but because I had friends and I got so close with everyone, I was just kind of part of the community.
Yeah.
And it's intense. You learn so much when you just soak it in and open. I had to open my mind to different beliefs, being a little Catholic schoolgirl,
Of course.
you know, and going into a sweat lodge and, you know, considering a vision quest. And those were big things for me, but I could see what they had. I could feel what they had right through me, and I knew it was good.
And you just knew.
I knew it was good.
Well, what did you like when I went to the Buddhist temple in Wichita? I felt such a freedom of self there compared to Christianity, meaning that they, you know, no possessions, no anything. And I was really, at first I was like, wow, you give up all possessions, and they're living pretty much on the floor, but it was a freedom of self, of your spirit. What did you learn actually from the Native Americans? Your first kind of either a vision or a self-realization, or what was it?
Well, with the Buddhists, it was more detachment.
Yeah.
It was just complete detachment.
Yeah,
It
that
wasn't
makes
that
sense.
they didn't have something. It's that they were not attached to that thing. If someone
better
stole
words.
it, they didn't care. So it didn't matter, so it was never stolen.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, because there was no resistance.
There's no resistance.
And how
with no
wonderful would that be?
resistance, there's no pain.
Right.
And that's what I learned. I studied with them for 3 years.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I needed to learn no resistance.
How long did it take you, do you think? Because, I mean, there's people out there that they're like, well, you've learned it, and it sounds like you must have got it instantly. And yet people realize that everybody's different on their quest, and how long it takes them to realize their BS belief system. But how long did it take you to really grasp a hold of each one, Buddhist to Native American?
A long time. I started with the Native Americans when I was very young. I was a teenager, so I was more susceptible, more willing, more open.
Right.
Then as I got a little older, my mind closed, so I'd have to open my mind just to learn something new. So I went from religion to religion to religion, to guru, to yogi, to ashram, you know, I knew there was something more. And I just wanted access to it.
Right.
And then when I realized I could have access to it, I almost scared myself.
Really?
And that's when I really
Oh, yeah.
and I said, I'm not an empath. I don't want to be, whatever. I didn't know what empath was, but I didn't want to be it. you know, because I was like getting feelings. Like if you said, like, where's your cell phone? I'd say it's under your bed. And it'd be like, how can it be under the bed? And I'd be embarrassed to say it. And I wouldn't want to know it.
Yeah.
So I went through a few years of that. This has been like a 20-year journey to get here.
I also find, speaking of truth be told, we'll hear people say, I don't believe in UFOs, and I don't believe in psychics, and I don't believe in this and this. Those people have also not had experiences with UFOs or some big psychic phenomenon happen in their life. Once they have the experience, then their truth changes, their belief system changes. So I would think with you in your teens going on to the reservation, you could see and feel how their belief systems really, really worked for them in this universe of oneness. Like you probably heard about oneness in church, but now you're getting to see the reality of what it's supposed to feel like once you're there. So that opens you up again, I'm assuming. And I would say probably with you, like me, I came to this earth plane to cram about 5 lifetimes in one, and I entered it in the school of hard knocks. And I know one of my great lessons here is to be in a place, a position of compassion and mercy, and hold as much unconditionality as I can. So I was born in the exact opposite of that reality, where it was all abuse and it was all this and it was all that, so that I would be even more empathic and compassionate than I was when I came in. So we go through this amnesia process, as it were. So I like that you say I would go out in the world and I would forget about it a little bit, and then I would go to this place, and I would go to the Buddhists, and I would go to the Native Americans, and I kept reopening up. That's a powerful path.
It is a powerful path, and I took some big detours on that path.
Yeah.
Big detours, and the detours brought me back to the path in a wholly different way, with a lot more empathy and a lot more compassion for more marginalized people, because I went through a lot of addiction, and, you know, I just didn't want to be as sensitive as I was to the world around me.
Right.
So, was that the addiction, was that to cover up not wanting to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And when I started making peace, I made peace with that starting 30 years ago. So that's been a long journey. And through that, then I started seeking more.
Once that was out of the system, and then it was like, sky's the limits.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
So as a facilitator of well-being and bringing healing, cleansing energy to people's environments and to people as well, I would think, and what I feel from you is that you bring the love back into a space that might not have been there. And you bring a frequency of love and kindness and healing into those environments. Was it easier for you to give that love energy out to other people before you gave it to yourself in the beginning?
Absolutely.
And so where are you at now in that aspect of being a facilitator of well-being?
With myself?
Yeah.
I love myself just the way I am, and God adores me.
Goosebumps.
That's just the truth.
Goosebumps.
You know, that's just and He adores me when I mess up, and He adores me when I'm in there healing.
I think
You know,
so too.
He just does, and that's the way I see it. But more than just positive energy is that there's growth and expansion in people's lives, and they get stagnant.
Yeah.
And what I want is I want to break beyond the barriers so that they can have these things that they keep saying, well, I don't have this, and I've been trying to get that, and I lost a marriage, and this one's not, and, you know, just so much is blocked. And once you unblock it, then other stuff can come in. You know, the past does not need to equal the future.
That's right.
If you had a negative past, if you had an abusive past, people think that's the way it is.
I know.
It's not the way it is.
I agree. I think of people who stay stuck in the past like that, for the most part, and I'm not being judgmental, I think it's sort of lazy thinking and fear of something else bigger or better. And I love that you can come in and you imbue the environment with a frequency that sort of eliminates that and that helps them let go of their stuff. And I also love something you said that was very, very amazing. And that is, you go in, you do your magic, you give 190%. I'm paraphrasing. You give 190%, and you go in with intention and prayer, and you seal the deal. And then when you walk out, it's completely up to them to do with that energy what they want to do with it, meaning you're still letting them have their free will. And
certainly,
and you got to.
Yeah, control is not one of my issues, thank God. But I went into a prominent judge's house, and he had a piece of furniture that was just lovely. It was a child's chaise, and I said, "Where did that come from?" He said, "The people who had it before left it here, and I think something happened to the child." And I said, "Can you get it out of the house, please?" And he said, "Yes, I will."
Can you both talk about that from somebody that doesn't feel the energy of a furniture? Because that's kind of fascinating to me, of the energy that furniture can hold.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. I mean, feng shui makes their whole living out of that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not knocking it or saying, because it's
Right.
great stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it's all about, is furniture. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
Crystals are energy. That's why we all love crystals. It's not like I have crystals in the candles that I give to my clients. Each crystal is for a specific reason that burns in that candle, because that energy vibrates.
Right.
It vibrates wholeness. It vibrates freedom from bondage. And so furniture has the same kind of energy. We just don't realize it all the time. We need someone to give us that kind of knowledge. It's not something we grow up with.
And this is more antique, because
This piece was antique.
Yeah.
But not everything.
Not everything.
Not everything is. It's not about it being old.
Yeah, a great example of that, one of my friends helped me understand, because I was beating myself up. I went to, I don't know, probably Radio Shack. And I was standing there, and all I needed was some kind of a little piece for a tape recorder. A tape recorder.
What's that?
Yeah. And they had a whole wall on pegs. You know how everything was on peg hooks? And they had this whole wall, and it was all the exact same thing. And there was probably 100 of them on the peg hooks. And I was like, I would pick one off, and I would go, no. And I'd put it down, and I'd pick this one off. And I was like, no, put it down. And my friend said, dude, they're all the same. Just get one, and let's get the F out of here. And I said, I don't feel like they're all the same. And then I found one that felt good to me, brought it home, and I was sharing that story with one of my friends who's a muckety-muck psychic. And she said, what you were doing on an empathic, sensitive level was you were picking the one product from the employee in that manufacturing company in Asia who enjoyed their job. The energy, you want someone who's put together something and they like their job, or they're in a good mood that day, or they just had a baby and they're so thrilled with it. And there's all of these, they're identical pieces of merchandise, but they all carried a different frequency and a different energy. And so it doesn't matter if it's old or new. Believe me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and if Donald Trump was in here spewing with Rush Limbaugh for 3 straight months, I promise you she would not feel the same way in this room that she feels right now.
No.
Even if they weren't even in here, she'd walk in and she would probably feel what? Like conflict, resistance, push, pull. I'm right, you're wrong.
Yes, conflict. Just blocking conflict and no. You feel no a lot. People do. It's a big feeling. It sounds silly because it's not an emotion, quote unquote. But no, you can walk into a room and just you feel no, and you're like, why not?
And what does no feel like? This is so powerful to me. I'm learning so much. Our first guest and you too. What does no feel like or look like for you as an energetic person?
It feels like a big ball inside that is grizzly around the edges, almost like one of those rocks that you see they take from space.
Yeah.
Like a large, like crinkly around the sides, and it just goes right in.
Wow.
That's no.
Wow. When you're saying that, I'm getting that feeling in my gut, but I'm also getting this feeling too. Mm-hmm. And people don't like to be told no to.
No, they don't.
Isn't that fascinating?
Well, there's a lot of people that you go to their homes or office, wherever they want you to be, that resist. Do they? Or are they at that time ready to let go?
You know, we have a consult before I come over.
Okay.
And I asked them, do you want to think about this? Do you want to call me back? Or do you want to schedule an appointment? You know, I'm just not a hard sell. I'm not a salesman, you know. I'm an empath. So they want me there. And once they want me there, and I'm trying to be gentle about things that are like someone's piece of furniture.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I did. I walked into a gorgeous, modern, magnificent mansion one time, and the violence in that house was something I couldn't say. I couldn't leave without saying something about it. I felt very odd because they were very sweet people. But there was a lot of violence in that house.
And it can get stuck in the furniture, in the walls, in the ceiling fan, in the rafters, in the carpet fibers.
Exactly.
It can.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
And then
gotta-
you walk in and it just gets on you.
Yeah, and it's so probably their norm that to them, you've seen those commercials where the person's sitting there eating a cheeseburger with an 800-pound dog on his lap, and they say, and the commercial opens up, it's like, this is what you see and smell. And then this is what your neighbors see and smell. And it's a giant dog sofa, and it's a giant hamburger that fell out of the ceiling and completely smothered the guy. It's like that for you, isn't it? Where
It
in
is.
every fiber of carpet, if it's their normal, they don't even realize how hard that energy is on them because it's got to go somewhere.
It does. And it's a lot of times when I go into people's homes and offices, a lot of their businesses, they're failing. And that makes me sad, and
Yeah.
I want them to prosper. So, and people come back to me. I've given them affirmations. We've texted each other after I'm done. You know, and so lots of good news. I've gone to some openings of people opening a brand new business for the very first time, and I'm going to see her again up in Santa Barbara when I go up there.
So nice.
So it is. It's really a blessing to be able to bless people for a living. I mean, I never dreamt that that's something I would be doing.
That's well. Let's take a quick break.
yeah.
We're going to take about a 15-second break. When we come back, so much more to talk about with Helen Duncan here. You go to her website spiritclean.biz, and we're just going to take a quick break. Be right back. I'm Tony Sweet,
I'm Eddie Connor.
and we're Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie on Universal Broadcasting Network. Be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Adventures Unlimited Press. Take your mind on a literary journey and go to adventuresunlimitedpress.com to purchase books from our famed experts featured right here on Truth Be Told. That's adventuresunlimitedpress.com. Now, back to the show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Truth Be Told. I'm Eddie Connor.
I am Tony Sweet.
And we're here with Helen Duncan, who is an empath, intuitive, spiritual cleanser. And if you did not catch the first half of the show, you in for a treat, people.
Yes, you is.
We're learning things. I've been doing energy work and been intuitive since I was a little kid, and I love learning new things. And you've got this plethora of information that just oozes off of you like a Helen Unami.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's good. It's good because it is a tsunami of light, healing, and love.
Amen.
Yes, yes. So now tell us, if we call you up right now and we say, here's what's going on in our house. We feel a little stuck. We feel a little like we're working really hard. We working this hard and we only making this much money. And since we moved into the house, my husband and I have been feeling like we're sort of crabby and snipping and snarking at each other. Can you do anything for us, Helen?
Absolutely.
Cool. Now,
Absolutely.
So, and then what's the initial sort of consultation like, just generally speaking? Like, what would be the kind of thing people would expect whenever they got a chance to talk to you?
Well, they would want to know what I do. They would want to know, tell me. They want to tell their story. You know, and that's really what the consult's about, is
That's
they want to
big.
tell their story. And someone needs to hear it.
Yeah.
And so I'm there for that. And then, okay. And I tell them what I do and what I bring, you know, in case anybody has questions about that. And then I ask them what their issues are so that I
Deliberately do something not to.
Exactly. And mine always weren't so great.
We all had sloppy chakras.
So that's one of my belief systems, and not everybody shares it, but I do align my chakras. And so some of my clients are really interested in that, and they're meditative, and they want to know how that they can do that. And so we'll sit with that. It's not like I'm going to do another session or charge you more. I mean, I'm there. So if someone wants to get
Important is aligning your chakras. Is it if it's out of alignment? I mean, what's going to be the big change, the big difference once I align them?
And what it does for me is it seems to align my top to my bottom. Like, it aligns my spine. That's not aligned. Have you ever been in a place where you want to say something and you just can't find words?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's today. No, just kidding.
Aligning the chakras really started helping me do that. And then I stopped poo-pooing it and I started using it.
That's great.
It is great. I love the chakras, and the thing that fascinates me the most about them are, and I might be wrong, you can correct me and educate me, but the bottom 3 chakras are your earth chakras. So the root chakra, the sacral center, and the solar plexus, those are your earth chakras. Your heaven chakras are the crown chakra, the third eye, and the throat chakra. And so sometimes when people say, oh, they're so airy-fairy, or their head is always in the clouds, that's because they're predominantly living from the neck up in the heaven chakras, and they're not as grounded as they could be in the earth chakras. The heart chakra, it's not of the heavens, and it is not of the earth. It is the conduit that brings your heaven and earth together in your body in this lifetime. And the picture that someone gave me years ago was picture 7, back then it was lima bean cans, because they were the big lima bean cans, and they were like short and stocky, but they were round.
Oh, yeah.
The red one, the orange one, and they would just imagine them perfectly straight,
Right.
in a perfect stack with the perfect colors from heaven, heart, and from earth to heart chakra to the heaven chakras. And then they described it. They would go around the room and they would go, okay, your heart chakra is out this way a little bit. It looked like a game of Jenga, where it's just sort of precariously dangling like this. It's fascinating. But you're right, it works. When you strengthen one of them, even just picture the wheel of light working, it just like boom, 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 bumps up the energy.
It does. It does. And, think about those people who are running around just from their head chakras. They're all in their head.
That's right.
There's no emotion to it. And that's real hard to live disconnected from your emotions.
It
I
is.
mean, I know sometimes it sounds better, but that's a real hard go.
Yeah, my mama would say it's like you either go through the fire or you go around it. And you think by going around it, meaning living from the neck up, you're doing okay and you don't need to do the work. But later on, you're going to have to go through that fire 10 or 12 more times instead of just going through it the first time and getting what you needed to get out of it. It is hard.
You bet. You're going to have to go through that fire until that lesson is learned, and that's the way it is. And if you don't do it, you're going to keep getting it.
I think so too. What do you think makes you an extraordinary healer?
My God-given talents.
Yeah.
I want to blame it on me. I want to give it to me so bad. I do here, you guys. But it's a God-given gift. And my willingness to learn and to absorb it and to utilize it.
And with your compassion, I can see you walking through that house you described earlier and how you had to say to the owners, there's a lot of violence here. And there's this empathy and compassion without a sense of judgment that comes with it when you have to tell them something hard. How long did it take you to get to that amazing space of grace to be able to articulate things like that to people when you're cleaning and cleansing their areas?
Honestly, I've been given so much grace and I've made so many mistakes that I have a lot of grace to give. It's just one of my giftings. Wow. I give grace gently and easily and welcomingly.
That is so nice. That is so nice.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, do you have to actually be physically in? You know how some it's like psychics, mediums can Skype or phone. Can you do that over the phone? No, you have to be there in person.
I do.
I would rather it be in person too. I know they have a remote sort of thing that people can do, and they do similar rituals where they talk about the candles and that sort of thing. I like the in-person stuff. I want to feel the person that's there. I want to watch you. I want to be out of your way, but I also want to feel you feeling what you're feeling so that I can learn, so that I can grow. I think there's something about having the relationship with the physical space that you can't get if you're not physically there for what you do. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. There is no way. I mean, of course, I would love to do it because that way I would have more clients across the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I do Southern California, and if someone asked me, I would go to Northern California. I'd go to Australia, but no one's asking me yet. You know? But I am limited by the physicality of it. However, I don't know if I could do my clients justice the other way on the phone. Now, Skype, you know, if we get into that, I don't know if I knew a client really well and I knew their environment well, maybe I can help them out of a spot.
Some more consultations.
Exactly, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any other way.
That's good to know that, I mean, that you're verbally saying that, because there's some people that are like, yeah, I'll do it, and they'll just they can't actually do the healing or any spiritual cleaning. They just want to make the money. So it's good that you're saying that, because it's showing that you're a truly genuine person in what you're doing. So
yeah, integrity is
Huge.
just paramount to me.
yeah.
Oh,
Because without that, it's all gone.
Yeah.
I don't care how good it looks.
Yeah.
Right.
you know something else I think is paramount with you that we haven't even addressed, which I can't believe I didn't think to ask you this earlier. Where did you get your sense of humor? Because I
The
think
School of Hard Knocks.
yeah, because you can
Yeah.
feel that too. I think when we go through the School of Hard Knocks, then yeah, we become more compassionate and that sort of thing to other people, and we probably judge less and all of that. You've got a great sense of
Yeah, you do.
humor.
Thanks.
Yeah, and it reads through loud and clear.
And that brings a positive energy too, because when you laugh or have a sense of humor, it opens people up to more of acceptance and with themselves and their spirit. So yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Thank you. People tell me that, and it's one of my, when people ask you, what are your greatest attributes? I don't know what to say sometimes, but I do say I have a good sense of humor because people keep saying I do.
Yeah.
And I have a little sign in my house that said, blessed are those who can laugh at themselves because they are easily amused.
That's
And it's true.
It is true.
It is true.
You know, I want to go back for a second because you talk about the candles that you make as part of what you do. Take us to your home, just visually for a second. Let's say you've read up on your client, you're making the candles. What's going on in your mind, in your heart, or what's playing on your stereo, or how are the
Talk on the phone
and run around and
No,
you do all the
no.
other stuff. I like how you're evenly distributing the blocks of the energy, because then you can fill yourself back up without spreading yourself too thin. And I can tell you're a hard worker. And I would imagine you probably came from a lineup where you worked really, really, really hard and didn't get back what you put into it in the past. And that's one of your things. You've got this really great balance about you when you speak about it now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. We literally have a
From everything that we go through, so none of it's wasted. You know, and if I wanted people to hear that, it would be that none of it's wasted.
yeah. That freaked your freak.
Okay.
Freaked
I
your
had
freak.
one. I had one in Santa Monica, and I loved the house, and these people hated it. And it was this magnificent old home. And they had this, not attic, they had a basement. And they said there was something in the basement, and there was. The previous owner, and I am not big into that whole, like, coming through me thing.
No.
It's not part of who I am. But she was there, and she was like, they're not taking care of my house. And that's why I'm still here. And, like, we sat down.
Anyway, I walked up to the front door and the door was open, and there was the spirit of this older lady, very quick, very sharp, very quick-witted, but she was the spirit. And she said, come and look at the house. You won't believe how beautiful they made my house. And she showed me through every single room in the house. And then she turned around. Now, I'd looked for 4 or 5 months. And she said, if you want this house, it's yours, because I know you'll take care of it. And I've always treated my homes like I owned them. And whenever I saw the landlord in the backyard, I said, I just have to tell you that if the woman was alive today, that owned this house, she would just tell you how proud she is and how happy she is. And he said, how'd you know it was a woman? And I'm not going to tell my new landlord, oh, I'm a psychic medium. Called me and I got the house. Just like she said.
too funny.
It's good energy.
It is good energy. I did tell her it was a woman,
Oh,
you know,
Good,
because she
see?
should know. She pays me for that.
Right.
yeah.
I don't have to feel silly.
Awesome. Well, Helen Duncan, empath, intuitive, spiritual cleanser. I got to say it again.
Hey, sweet.
I'm Eddie Connor.
And this is Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie right here on Universal Broadcasting every Friday at 4 o'clock. And we're going to be back next week. Go to truthbetoldwebtv.com. He wrote the book Chariots of the Gods. Is going to be on their show. So honored to have him on the show. And make sure you guys go out and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right. Take care and stick around.